follows. What do I do with this? I was super pumped. It was in all the festivals and whatever, and people were saying that this was incredible and one of the scariest movies in the last, 10 years or whatever bullshit everybody said, and people were hyping it way too much. And I kept thinking, okay, do not hype it, because you're gonna get disappointed if you hype it too much. So I didn't. I went in with an open mind thinking, this might not be as good as people say, and guess what? It wasn't. Oh my god, this movie was bullshit. I don't watch scary movies, because I don't like being scared. I get scared easily. And I just don't want to. And then my second reason for not watching scary movies is the fact that they actually don't scare me. They're actually boring as fuck. One thing I hate more than being scared is being bored, so I don't watch them. I think the last thing I tried to watch was Mama, which had great reviews, and I think I got like 30 or 40 minutes in and I was falling asleep. I do not classify jump scares as horror, and paranormal bullshit, Paranormal Activity, was total bullshit. Yeah, I remember seeing Paranormal Activity, and I was just like, no, nothing's happening. And when it does, it's just a jump scare. I don't classify that as horror. One movie that actually really freaked me out was The Exorcism of Emily Rose. And I saw that when I was like 11, so keep that in mind. But exorcisms freaked me out in general. And maybe that was it, but that was actually a very creepy movie, and Jennifer Carpenter was incredible. She contorted her body and her face and her voice, and that was a creepy thing. And yes, it was filled with jump scares, but besides that, it had a creepy vibe to it. I don't like exorcisms, they freak me out. So, I went with an open mind thinking maybe this will be better than that. And I'm glad to say that it didn't have jump scares. It had one, which was it was totally predictable. And I think it's really sad that we get to be impressed with a movie that doesn't have jump scares. That's really sad. And the worst thing is, the first 50 minutes were actually really good. It was set up nicely, and it's a very scary premise. The premise is incredible. If you don't know what it is, it's basically you have sex with someone and something starts following you. What is it? I don't know. It takes the form of a person, and this person just keeps going after you. And it sounds easy enough to escape because you're faster, but you have to stop to sleep or whatever, and the thing keeps moving towards you. You can never get away from it, really. So the only way to stop this is to have sex with someone else and pass it along. Now, the main girl, who I thought maybe she won't be that typical stupid character, but guess what she was? She totally deserved to die, by the way. Like, I was just praying for her to die and this movie be over. She gets it from a guy, and she doesn't pass it along. She wants to go back and find the guy and, find out what happened and blah, 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 and the thing's after her. And if it kills her, it goes back to him, so he's just pass it along. Bitch, don't give it to me again. And it was set up nicely. It was a creepy thing, seeing someone walking towards you, even though it looks like a normal person. It's still disturbing to think that something's always after you. It's basically if anybody out there knows Rooster Teeth, it's basically what they talked about in the podcast. What would you do if a killer snail is after you? That's basically it. Can you get away from it? It's always moving towards you. And the first 15 minutes were great. It was a nice thing happening. It had a plot, and then the last third of it was just bullshit. What the fuck are you doing? They did some Home Alone type shit, trying to kill this thing. It's what the fuck are you doing? We previously, spoilers, we previously established that shooting it doesn't do shit. So what the fuck are you doing now? I kept thinking. I heard someone say that the last third was bullshit, and I kept thinking, oh, this is actually not bad. Like, this is good. And then one scene happened, I was like, I see it. I fucking see it. And there's this fucking character in this. She's me. Oh my god, she's me. And I fucking hated her. And I thought, oh my god, do people hate me like this? She always had a book with her. And I'm always on my phone reading. She had this little thing. It's like the most bizarre. She had like a little shell that opens and it's a book and it had like 2 tiny little screens, and I was like, is this a real thing? Like, what year do they live in? Because their TVs look like they're from 1932. But then they have this thing. No one has a cell phone, by the way, so I have no idea what period this takes place in, but it has that 70s and 80s feel to it, which is actually really, really cool. But this girl, and they ask her, what are you reading? And she says, The Idiot. Guess which book I'm reading right now? Yes, I have 50 pages left of The Idiot. And she starts fucking quoting the book in the middle of the movie, like, yeah, bitch, that's me. I hated her. So, she was totally useless. And I really liked one scene, which is a spoiler, and I'll talk about it in the spoiler section, but one scene it was a tiny little thing, but I really liked the way they did it. But I'll talk about it in the spoilers. But before that, I really, really liked the music, the score. It had that 70s, 80s feel, and it reminded me so much of Carrie. And I'm a Stephen King sucker, so I'm a sucker for his movies and his books. Even though the movies are mostly bad, I still like watching them sometimes. And it had that vibe to it, and the music was fantastic. The actual score. Now, it wasn't fantastic the way they fucking used it, because they would just throw in like this epic sounding score that sounded so dramatic, like something was gonna happen, and then it doesn't. Nothing happens. And it's like, I get that you're trying to build tension, but this is a ripoff. Like, you're not building tension towards anything. This is not suspense. This is like a false suspense. This is fake suspense. Like, what the fuck is this? And it's good if you're actually building towards something. Even if it's not a jump scare, just build towards something. Nothing. Like, she taps on a window. That happened. And characters were just generic blonde girl that's stupid as fuck, generic neighbor kid that's sort of like a punk, generic nerdy kid that likes the blonde girl but he's never gonna get it, generic little sister that's sort of jealous of her older sister being so pretty, generic everything. So I was really disappointed. At the fact that the thing isn't even a mystery because you fucking see it. Like, it takes the form of a person, okay? Whatever it is you're imagining in your head is going to be way scarier than whatever you see. I thought they would be invisible. Like, I thought that maybe they would be ballsy enough to make it invisible. They didn't. So, fuck that. And I mean, I'm not even giving any spoilers here. Like, this is the movie. So disappointing. I don't know. Like, maybe I just don't like scary movies, but I didn't find this scary at all. Something scary was actually Honeymoon. I have a review of that. Honeymoon was awesome, and that's not even technically a horror movie, is it? I mean, it's sort of like a thriller, and it was still creepier than this. Nothing about this was scary, and I'll talk about some spoilers, I guess. So, spoilers, warning, spoilers, I will be talking about the end. Who cares, right? I saw this movie like yesterday, and I don't fucking remember the ending right now. The fuck was that with the pool? Like, she shot the thing like 7,000 times. It got back up. So their plan is to shoot it again 7,000 times. The thing doesn't die, but then suddenly you just shoot it once in the head. Even though you've shot it before like 7,000 times in the head, you shoot it again, and convenient plot is convenient. The thing falls into the pool, and now you can get out. Now she's looking into the pool, and you see all the blood, and I'm assuming that that's like all the blood that's collected from everybody that's killed. The mom fucking raped the son. That was a scene. I don't get what the point was that. Like, what was the point of that scene? Like, to show that it sucks the blood out? Why did the girl in the first scene had her legs broken then? She wasn't drained of her blood, was she? I don't even remember. Invisible. Oh my god, the hair pulling. Yeah, that was the scene that was just like, oh, I see what people are saying. This is fucking bullshit. Like, chairs flying and like the door flying open, and fuck that. Fuck that. Like, fuck that. The one scene that I did like was, oh, first of all, the acting was terrible, but when she was in her bedroom, and she saw the girl in her kitchen, right? She saw the girl that broke the window and came into her kitchen. She ran up the stairs. She closed the door. And her sister and the other guy came in the room, whatever, and they were trying to calm her down. And someone knocked on the door, and it was her friend. So she opens the door, and her friend is standing there. And she's like, oh, it's just me. And then there's like this really tall guy behind her. And he was like in the shadows. That was creepy as fuck. And it wasn't like a jump scare. It was just like, oh shit. Because it reminded me of Gerald's Game, which is also a Stephen King novel, where a girl is handcuffed to a bed. Long story, but like a woman is handcuffed to a bed. And this guy comes into her room every night just to watch her. And he was really tall and like creepy looking with long arms and long legs. It reminded me of that, and that just scared the living hell out of me. So then the girl walks into the room, and the thing walks behind her. And he's so tall that he like needs to duck to get through the door. And I thought that was really, really disturbing, like, to see that. That I really liked that moment. And it's just a tiny little moment. But that was it. What was the point of giving it to Greg, the neighbor, if he wasn't gonna pass her along? Like, I get that he just wanted to have sex with her. He didn't really believe her, but it's like, you should have just passed it along, man. Like, and they showed, like, they had sex in the hospital. Scene after that, he's seen with a bunch of girls, and I thought, okay, he's gonna pass it along. He doesn't. Like, what was the point of having that scene? What was the point of showing him with all those girls if he wasn't gonna pass it along? And this bitch is just watching how someone is clearly walking towards his house. She doesn't pick up the phone. Like, pick up the phone. Call him. Pick up the phone. She watches as this guy breaks the window and breaks into the house, and then she picks up the phone. Of course, the guy, convenient plan is convenient. Of course, the guy does not pick up. She goes to his house. Fucking genius. She starts banging on the door, like, let me in, Greg, let me in, don't open the door. Like, bitch, do you want him to let you in or not open the door? And then she sees, oh yeah, the window's broken. Duh. She goes up, and it's his mom, like, now it's taking the shape of his mom, banging on the door. And this motherfucker, like, didn't you hear what's happening in the hallway? She's screaming like, Greg, don't open the door, don't open the door. He opens the door and goes, what, Mom? So that guy deserves to die. Oh, I remember the ending now. It's still fucking out there. Did she give it to the guys on the boat? I'm assuming she did. She was driving home and she was soaking wet and she looked like she was disheveled, whatever. I assume she gave it to them. And she bought some time, like, they didn't know what was happening, so it probably, like, killed them right away, because they didn't know what to expect. But then the other guy, Paul, asks her, like, why don't you give it away. And she said, I already did once and it didn't work. I thought Greg would be okay. I'm like, bitch, did you give it to the yacht dudes or not? Like, fucking makes sense. And then of course she gives it to Paul anyways, who gives it to a prostitute. And I'm assuming that, you know, it just went from there, but then everybody got fucking killed because they didn't know what to expect. So it's after them, like, let's be real, it's after them. And I really hope this is like a one-time thing. I hope this doesn't become Paranormal Activity, where we get 17 movies out of this crap, because I would not handle that. It was entertaining, just the first 15 minutes were okay. I really liked the premise, I really liked the plot, I just wish they did it well. It follows. Yeah. Don't.
I used to daydream about being old enough to go on dates. I had this image of myself holding hands with a really cute guy. Just having some sort of freedom, I guess.
Jay, I'm sorry. You're not gonna believe me, and I need you to remember what I'm saying. This thing, it's gonna follow you. Somebody gave it to me, and I passed it to you. Wherever you are, it's somewhere, walking straight for you. All you can do is pass it along to someone else.
What exactly is supposed to be following you?
I don't know.
Just pass it along.
You believe me, right?
Nothing's gonna happen.
See? Everything's okay.
Is something wrong with me?
If it kills her, it goes straight down the line to whoever started it.
It's gonna be here sooner or later.